algorithm friend or foe
We truly believe that AI should help enhance creativity, not replace it. I encourage them to go deep into topics that they are passionate about. Mr. Beast is the boss of YouTube.
And a lot of people might accuse all the platforms for like turning people into a very short attention span.
We want people to engage with shorts, but we also want to make sure that whatever we do it in a responsible way.
How could a person go from being a corporate lawyer to a VP at YouTube?
I've always believed in video as a medium to express yourself. In the last 3 years, we paid out $70 billion to our partners globally. Our fastest growing surface is actually the living room, so the big screen.
YouTube is about to be like 20 years old next year in 2025. Maybe we can go and revisit some of the legendary videos and a lot of impressive ones.
Is this a quiz show?
Yeah. This is Community Featuring. My name is Vic and welcome to the show. So back in 2017, when we first started the Standard podcast, we had this one big problem. Actually two, but there are others too, but these two are the biggest. So number one, most people barely knew what podcasts were. And number two, even if they did, they still had no idea where they can go and listen, right? So at the very beginning, what we did is to like educate the market and the audience. Like, okay, we tell them about all the podcast applications that they can go and download, like teaching them after these easy 8 steps, you can access our shows. Enjoy. But you know what? That turned out to be a huge friction because not a whole lot of people did that because it was too complicated, or at least it's gonna take a few more extra effort to do that. And people are essentially lazy, very understandable. Maybe I wouldn't do that either. So as a result, our shows started off pretty slow until we found out that, you know, all the episodes that we kind of casually uploaded onto YouTube, that is where people go. And it got us tons of listeners. And I was like, why? Because YouTube is supposed to be a video-based platform, right? But it didn't take us long to realize why not? Because people are already using YouTube for music listening and discovering. And people use YouTube to search for the content they want, regardless of the format. It could be video, it could be audio, it doesn't matter. So that's why we love YouTube so much for fixing the problem for us. Plus, it also pays, guys. It also pays. And that's huge for us doing business and wanting to creating the brand. And that is why, exactly why, YouTuber is still on the list for top career choice for people these days, regardless of the generation. So YouTube is going to be 20 years old next year in 2025, but YouTube Thailand is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. So we are so happy and we are so lucky to have people from YouTube here today with us at the Standard KND to sit down and have a talk with. So welcome to the show, the Vice President of YouTube Asia Pacific, Mr. Gautam Anand.
Thank you. Good morning. It's
Good
great
morning.
to be here.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're based in Singapore, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course.
Right. So first of all, I'm sure like working at YouTube for you is a big contribution to the world and especially for creator community. But I also like what you said on your LinkedIn page, and I quote, "It also helps that working for YouTube is simply just cool to my young children."
Yeah.
So if I were your children, I would brag about you too. Like, my dad works for you too.
Well, they think my job is to watch videos all day long.
Yeah. All right. So it kind of helps to have a cool dad for like people this generation.
No, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old, both boys, and obviously they've grown up watching YouTube and connecting with so many creators, and so
Right.
yeah, it's amazing.
Okay.
For them, it's the coolest job, and I think for me, it's one of the most wonderful opportunities too.
Of course, I'm sure. And do you talk to them about like their like behavior or like their preferences on like YouTube? What are you guys watching these days? And do you help them guide, like what to watch on YouTube or what they shouldn't be watching, stuff
Well,
like that?
you know what? Like I encourage them to go deep into topics that they are passionate about and that they love. The one amazing thing about YouTube is the diversity and the breadth of content that we have.
Yeah.
And so they go find things that they're passionate about. Right now both of them are crazy about basketball.
Wow.
And so they go find all kinds of not just highlights, but analysis of games, quiz shows
Of course.
about basketball teams and players. And so, they're deeply engaged in topics that they love.
And that's what people do too, right?
Yeah.
They kind of are passionate about something and they can find just anything on YouTube.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so did you used to be a corporate lawyer?
I did.
Okay. And how could a person go from being a corporate lawyer to a VP at YouTube?
So that's how I started my career. I went to law school in the Bay Area. And when I graduated, it was just kind of the beginnings of the internet. This was in 1997. And lots of companies trying to figure out how to make the most of the World Wide Web. Lots of companies getting started on how to leverage the internet. So it was an exciting time to come out. And I worked at a large law firm in San Francisco that focused mostly on startups and tech companies. So it was an amazing environment to be involved in. And you got exposed to entrepreneurs who would come in with business plans. We would help them incorporate their companies, raise funding. And in some instances, through the 3 years I was there, even see them get acquired. And so it was a very contagious, right? And so, in my mind, there was amazing learning in those 3 years. And then I found this company called phone.com, then changed its name to OpenWave, that was trying to bring the web to mobile phones. They were the first ones that created the WAP protocol. So I saw an amazing opportunity there because obviously mobile devices were becoming more popular, and then with the internet and combining the two of them. And I was there for a short period of time. I talked about how the entrepreneurial energy in the Bay Area was kind of contagious.
Oh, yeah.
And so in 2000, I ended up starting a company in the video space.
I see.
And
why video for you at the time?
I've always believed in video as a medium to express yourself. And so how do you harness the power of video and how you can communicate through that and combine that with the internet? And so, it was really at that point trying to help media companies transition to the internet because there wasn't much digital creation happening. The iPhone wasn't there yet. And so we started that company, raised money right before the market crashed. And so it was a great learning experience. And because I was working on bringing offline content online through digitization, transcribing of content, when I ended up finding out about Google trying to go beyond the web into things like Google Books, which was an initiative to digitize millions and millions of books, Google Maps, local search. I thought that was a wonderful opportunity from what I had learned and apply it to a company that was obviously doing so well in search but had ambitions to do more. And that's how I got my start at Google.
Yeah. So the first time YouTube popped up on your radar, when was that? And what was your thought about YouTube at the time?
Yeah, so one of the products that we were also working on at that point in time was called Google Video. Google Video was using a very similar approach to search, was indexing video on the web. And then suddenly you had this company called YouTube that was allowing people to post their own personal videos and was getting traction and growing quite significantly. And so a year into YouTube being started, YouTube started in 2005, we ended up acquiring YouTube, Google did, in 2006. And because of my background in video and my passion for that, I saw that as an amazing opportunity. And I actually got involved with YouTube pretty much the week after the acquisition.
Wow.
And my first job was to figure out where to internationalize and locally launch YouTube.
So you were with YouTube right from the start.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Singapore in 2009 to really build out the business here. And it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, it's been like 15 years since
Yes.
you were in Singapore.
Yeah.
So you're YouTube APAC, which is Asia Pacific.
Yes.
So I was wondering, how is YouTube Thailand or Asia Pacific different from YouTube like global? What set them apart?
I would say APAC, first of all, is so diverse. So it's, you can say Asia Pacific, but the reality is every country is distinct with local culture, local history, local languages. And so, you have to build out the ecosystem. We talk about the ecosystem being creators, viewers, advertisers, and then obviously doing all of that responsibly. And so you have to really focus on building a healthy ecosystem for YouTube in each and every market. And so that's been an amazing journey, right? Because 10 years ago, we launched YouTube here. In the same way, we launched in a lot of other countries as well. And today, YouTube is localized in over 100 countries and is available in over 80 different languages. So, amazing journey.
Yeah. So for the past 10 years, what do you think about the growth of YouTube Thailand?
Yeah, so I just talked about how when we first launched YouTube here, I was actually here for that launch event. It was an amazing launch event, and I met some creators. It was just the beginnings of the creator ecosystem coming to life here in APAC.
It was still pretty new for people.
Yeah,
Those days,
I think back then, what you said, what was unique about APAC, I think initially a lot of our largest partners were either large media companies, TV stations, or big music labels, and the creator ecosystem was just starting to get built up. In the US, YouTube really started with creators. They had a community. Here, it took us a little while to help to really bring that to life. And and I remember meeting creators. I was just getting started on YouTube, and they were very excited. And the growth has been phenomenal, right? Back then, I think right after we launched, we celebrated 4 channels crossing 1 million subscribers. And today, if you look at Thailand, you have over 1,000 channels with over 1 million subscribers. So the growth has been exponential. And it's amazing to see that creators have really embraced our platform to be able to do what they're passionate about, to tell their stories, and reach audiences worldwide.
So what is it exactly that you did at the very beginning to help them like kind of kickstart or encourage them to do this like seriously? Let's give it a shot. Like if you're not like a big media company, you're not a bbig publisher, but you can just start like YouTube. You can start just by you. Yeah.
So look, I mean, even in the beginning, our mission and the tagline was broadcast yourself, right? So it was really about empowering people who had a story to tell, who had a passion, with the platform to be able to reach fans in their country and internationally as well. And even today, it's not broadcast yourself, but is to give everyone a voice. And that's been the operating principle to us, and everything that we do to improve the platform over the years is to really help figure out how do we help creators and partners reach audiences, and then how do we help them make a living. Right? I think that's one of the biggest differences about YouTube is that, early on, we were the first ones that launched a partner program and started sharing revenue back with creators that allowed people to take this seriously, to say, I can do this as a full-time job.
Right.
And then, when we had successful creators in each and every market, we try to really showcase them and the amazing work that they were doing. So they became role models for an entirely new generation of creators to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, because people started to see like, oh, these guys are doing so well, and they have a lot of fun. They can talk about their passion, and they can like drive some change. So that's a great thing to just follow steps with, and people started to like do more and more, and they even thought about like doing this as a career more and more even. Yeah, so
Yeah, and that's been a really important thing for us is to make sure that over the years we continue to provide more and more opportunities for people to generate revenue and like you said, make this a career. Do what you love.
right. So when we take a look at the creativity for Thai YouTubers, let's say, what do you see is different from the creativity or content creator or YouTubers elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, so Thailand has always been an extremely creative market. Your channel, as an example, is loved by Thai people, but I also know that it has audiences from outside of Thailand, and that's one of the unique things about YouTube as a platform. Like if you look at Thai creators today and all the content that they're uploading and the amazing stories that they're telling, 25% of that viewership is coming from outside of Thailand, right? And so there's a lot of interest in Thai culture and Thai society, and this is obviously an amazing travel destination as well. And so there's it's a platform that allows you to not just reach local audiences and connect with them, but also grow your footprint outside of your home country.
Yeah, I think I started to see a lot more creators or YouTubers from Thailand started doing shows in different languages, or at least they have different subtitles to help people from other countries or other cultures understand their content better. And I think it's one definition of going regional or going global. So the question is, what would be your advice for Thai YouTubers if they decided that, okay, I'm not just gonna stay and do contents for Thai people, I wanna connect with the world more? What would be your advice?
First of all, I say you have to create content that you're passionate about topics that you're passionate about, right? And then, certain content genres travel well internationally, but you don't have to adapt to that. Obviously, I think sticking to what you love is really, really important. There's a lot of ways to engage with the fan community, to ask them, what are the topics that you would like to see us create videos. That's the great thing about YouTube, is that it's a two-way dialogue with your fans that can help guide you. And then obviously with technology over the years, making content universally accessible is becoming easier, right? So if you think about adding captions in multiple languages, and now increasingly we see creators using multi-language audio. And so, you can very seamlessly create dubbing for your content in multiple languages. And we have, creators that are extremely successful in doing that, right? Who are now it's getting better, the quality is getting better, it's getting cheaper. And so I think the promise of that really means that any great story can now be accessible to anyone in any language, which I think will continue to really help content travel even more.
I love it. It's such a good advice. Just stick to what you love, be yourself, and then do not forget to make it a two-way communication, which I think we need to do that more for our channel. We kind of forget that, okay, people have a lot to say, and they are saying all those things, giving us criticism and constructive ones in the comment section. And sometimes we kind of forget to go and talk to them in the comment section. So this is very important. Just stick to what you love, make it two-way communications, and also use technology that's your friends, and it's already there on YouTube, so built in for your convenience to use. Okay, so and lately, a lot of people are talking about and are addicted to shorts, like YouTube shorts. It seems like the content these days, it gets shorter and shorter. So what do you think about the length of the content that people kind of watch on any platforms these days?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's evolved over the years, right? If you think about our own evolution, initially, most of our views were on the PC, as an example, right? And then mobile phones started proliferating, and you started to see a lot of the viewership go to mobile devices. In fact, APAC, Asia Pacific, led the way for that. Some of our markets ended up having viewership go beyond 50% in their country first, anywhere in the world. And then formats have evolved, right? And so, initially there was just the horizontal VOD format, right? And over time, you've had live streaming that started becoming popular. You obviously ended up with short form video. And now, you see that short form video obviously is resonating a lot with, especially with younger audiences. And if you look at our own numbers, today Shorts is generating 70 billion views a day.
That's
on
a
YouTube.
lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the fact that we just got started with
Yes.
Shorts a few years ago, and so the success that we've seen in a very short period of time has been very encouraging. And obviously, there's a certain type of content that people enjoy consuming through short form video and in vertical format. And so it's been great to see us make creation, easier and fun for a lot more a lot more of our users and creators.
Yeah, and a lot of people might say they kind of accuse like all the platforms for like turning people into a very being with very short attention span, right? But I don't think that's the case for YouTube because a lot of our videos, which is still very lengthy, like an hour or even more, still have great responses from viewers. So it's not necessary that the videos these days, like the short one, turn people into someone who is very impatient. For example, people still enjoy and appreciate like longer videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah, so this is I think the beauty of YouTube is the fact that you can figure out how to tell your story in a way that through the best format. And while Shorts has been very successful, you obviously have your traditional VOD, live streams. You talked about podcasts, and so on the platform you have the ability to tell your story in 15 seconds or 15 minutes, or through a 15-hour long live stream, or through purely with audio. And so the variety and the ability to be multi-format, I think, is truly unique on the platform.
So
and
you
then
have options, right?
Yeah, and then your point around obviously Shorts being where should we be thinking about it? Whatever we do, we always say that responsibility is always the foundation of all of our efforts. And so, we're mindful of the fact that, it can be a platform that people end up spending a lot of time format. And we've built tools into the platform, reminders to take a break, bedtime reminders, controls for parents, separate kids app. And so, this is something that we always take very, very seriously. Of course, we want people to engage with Shorts, but we also want to make sure that whatever we do it in a responsible way.
Yeah, because after all, it's very addictive. It could be very addictive, but we all know better by now that we have to be responsible for our digital well-being, so to speak. So
yeah, and I think that I talked about my kids. I actually think that if you love something, you want to go deep into that. And in order to go deep into that, you go delve into longer form content.
Yeah.
And, in fact, even in Thailand, recent survey, we found that 88% of Gen Z here in Thailand said that YouTube has content that they want to go more deeply into, that they love and want to deeply engage with. And so, so I think that, while Shorts is popular, having long form obviously is also critical and very enriching.
Yeah, I love it that we still have options because even when with one content, we can just distribute to different form. Like we can use the same content as a longer form and then snip some of it and use it as a short form. And we also have this only audio only for people who just want to listen to, and live streaming, we have lots of options out there. So like I said, YouTube is about to be 20 years old next year in 2025. So maybe we can go and revisit some of the legendary videos and a lot of impressive ones.
Is this a quiz show?
Yeah. So let's talk about the obvious one, the very first one, me at the zoo. So this is very classic, right? Okay, so what do you think about this piece particularly?
This was the first video that was uploaded to YouTube ever, right? And I think began the journey. And so, going back to the whole concept of broadcast yourself, was one of the co-founders of YouTube at a zoo, talking about elephants. It really was the beginning of, the entire journey. And what a good way to do it, right?
Yes.
A video about a person sharing their experience
Right.
with the rest of the world, which became the foundation of our mission statement.
Very refreshing at the time too. It was like, okay, this could be a content, and people started like doing like anything their own way, and that's very special. Anything else that comes to mind when we talk about like a very special video that you can remember?
Yeah, I think that, to me, I talked about the fact that I had started a company which was helping media companies digitize content and put it online. This was a very different approach, right? This was individuals shooting their own video. They didn't have to be on TV. They didn't have to go and approach a studio to try to get cast
a green light
on a
like,
show.
Am I allowed to be on air?
Exactly.
Of course.
You're allowed to be on air whenever you want. So I think just a fundamental shift, the beginning of a very fundamental shift. And 2005 was also when I started at Google. And so to me, it's a personal memory, obviously a year.
I thought about like some videos that gained a lot of like views, like Psy Gangnam Style or something like that. Yeah, and YouTube helps a lot with the music industry too.
Of course. That's the first video that ended up getting 1 billion views.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you have a lot more of those. But back then,
yes,
this was quite amazing, right? And especially for us, something to be proud of because it was a video from APAC and from
what
Korea.
A milestone.
What a milestone. And I think also kind of the beginnings of showed us the power of YouTube as a global platform, the power of export, and really something that I think inspired the rest of the Korean music industry and K-pop to really look at international as a key opportunity. And now, obviously, many years later, you look at the success and popularity of K-pop, but really it kind of started with that, right?
Yes.
And recognizing the potential.
And talking about regular Joe, like an ordinary person becoming more and more famous and started to make a living, doing very, very well, get like globally famous, like Mr. Beast. So his name comes up a lot when we talk about like how big could a person get on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I mean, my teenager says Mr. Beast is the boss of YouTube.
And he might be right. He's really huge.
But he is huge. And, I think he's done a tremendous job of leveraging the platform, right? And, we talked about export. He is actually a creator that is leveraging multi-language audio extremely well.
Yes.
And so he finds things that are top of mind and creates content around that. He does a lot of contests, obviously. But if you go to any of his videos now, there's probably 8 to 10 different languages that you have very high quality dubbing audio available, including in Thai. I'm sure you've seen his videos in Thai. I'm originally from India, so his content in Hindi is becoming really, really popular. So he's leveraging that to not only be successful in the US or with English-speaking audiences, but with global audiences all over the world.
It's like he's trying to showcase all the maximum potential that you can like put out there using YouTube. Like this is the most that you can do and be. So he did a really great job of showcasing that.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's talk more about something from APAC or from Thailand. What do you remember or what do you like in particular when it comes to Thai videos or Thai YouTubers?
Going back to 10 years ago when I was first here, right? We talked about just the beginnings of the creator ecosystem. So I remember creators like Be the Ska, who were creating funny parody videos about all kinds of different topics. I remember VRZO.
Oh yeah, VRZO is huge.
VRZO, they started the whole Thai street interview,
Right.
and then they used to have this rubber yellow chicken in their videos that became quite famous as well.
Quite iconic. Like people remember.
Yeah,
that.
and in every country we talk about kind of our OG creators, right? And so these were some of the OG creators here. So I have very fond memories, obviously, because they inspired many creators after them to do similar things.
Yeah, and I think Thai people are very good at creating like funny, hilarious parody stuff, and they kind of have like, I see no limit. I can do anything, and that's exactly what they did, and they're not shy away from trying new stuff too, and that's what I love about the platform like YouTube, allowing them to try just anything that they want to try.
Another great video I recently saw was a Thai family. They created a song about the orange and yellow costume that is in Squid Game. And that became really popular. And that's another thing that's amazing about YouTube, right? You can take something that's happening right now and create a trend or a meme around it. And it was really fun to watch.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, what type of YouTubers do you want to see more in the world or in APAC?
Look, I think as a platform, we just want to continue to provide tools that allow as many people as possible to express what they are passionate about and what they love, right? And so to continue to see that grow, I think people embracing different formats, that's obviously important. And then, I think YouTube has gone beyond just entertainment, right? We know that it's a source of information for so many people, source of education. And so, I think seeing that diversity continue to live on and thrive is really, really important. So that, we can continue to, people come to YouTube for all kinds of different reasons. And so if we have a diversity of creators in each and every market, that means that, we're helping connect the two quite well.
Yeah. So how else or what more for YouTube as a platform can help YouTubers create their content, you think?
One of the things, obviously, I talked about how formats have evolved, right? And you've gone from horizontal to vertical, you've gone from VODs to shorts and live and podcasts. But what's also evolved is how many different ways you can actually create a revenue stream, right? And, we talked about the launch of the YouTube Partner Program, which is huge now.
Yeah.
In the last 3 years, we paid out $70 billion to our partners globally. So it's very meaningful. On top of that, we've built a subscriptions business, YouTube Premium, which recently crossed 100 million paid subscribers. Thailand is also a market where YouTube Premium is doing quite well. We share revenue from that back to our partners as well. And then on top of that, we have built fan engagement products like memberships, super chats, super thanks that allow fans to contribute to the success of their creators. That is becoming increasingly a more and more important revenue stream as well. And then in some markets, it's early days, we're also looking at commerce and shopping. And so, the ways in which people can generate revenue now from YouTube has also evolved. And so, it becomes a very real, very meaningful opportunity now.
Yeah, help them create the sustainable business or way of living and way to stay true to themselves and at the same time like creating revenue. That's like the best idea. And one thing that I can speak for myself and the standard is like YouTube is such a great partner. Like every time we have like problem, we want to consult with someone, we can always reach out to YouTube and they're so ready to help. And that means a lot for creators.
I think that, ultimately, when creators succeed, we succeed, right? And so I think that supporting creators is the most important thing that we can do. Obviously, the ecosystem has grown tremendously, and we have to find different ways of making sure that we are helping creators both grow and then also when they have issues to be able to help resolve them. But it's really great to hear that you're happy with how the team is supporting you.
Right. Yeah.
I'll go back
team.
to the office and let them know.
Great team. Yeah. So it looks like more and more YouTubers are born like each day, and a lot of people might be like exploring of all the potentials or things they can do and using YouTube as a tool to like enrich their life or succeed, right? So even though we have someone like Mr. Beast, like with highly produced shows, but at the same time we can be very simple with our show, and that could work too. So if I were to ask for your advice for someone who just started their YouTube journey today, what would be the first thing that you want to tell them?
Yeah, I think that getting started on YouTube now is probably easier than it has ever been because of the fact that you have short form video. You can create on your mobile phone. You don't necessarily need, a recording studio, a production studio, editing software. In fact, I recently came across a local Thai channel, Ava Rest. She's a solo female traveler, and she talks about her experiences through 60-second video, right? And so, that's a channel that has become quite popular, and that's just one example of so many others who are getting started with shorts, which is quite easy to get going with. We're obviously continuing to build tools that make it even easier and easier to be able to create and make the whole process more fun. And then, a lot of these creators then move on and start doing VODs or lives. And we have, examples of that as well here, in this market.
Yeah. So one thing that people keep talking about and is a huge debate or controversial topic, algorithm, friend or foe? Because we have to admit that they helps us a lot, but a lot of times it kind of gives us headache too. Like I cannot catch up with all this algorithm and the platform trying to like improve all the time or change up things all the time. So what do you have to say for like those people who are having headaches with algorithm and
I
stuff?
think it's a wrong thing to focus on.
Yeah.
I going back to what I said, I think for creators, what's most important is to, stick to what you are passionate about and what you love. The algorithm is really meant to put the right content in front of the right person. And so we look at things like, did this person engage with this video? Did they what they watched, what they don't watch? How much when they start watching something, how much of it do they watch? Do they leave comments, etc., around their likes and dislikes? And then we're trying to tailor that. And so what I tell creators is, do what you're good at and tell the best stories.
Yeah.
And then we will do our job of putting that content, based upon users' interests.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes people end up focusing too much on, but that,
the numbers
or how do you like what's the algorithm and this that. But I think it's simple. Like we're just trying to make sure that the right stories get in front of the right people at the right time, and so focusing as a creator on telling the right stories is the right strategy.
But it could be very understandable too for a lot of people who are trying to do their best, but it feels like they're not getting anywhere. If maybe they get a little discouraged, what do you want to say to them?
Yeah, I think that, look, you have to continue to adapt. I think we provide a lot of great information. YouTube Analytics is a great place to go look at what's working, what's not working. You talked about your the support you get from your partner managers. They're always here to share best practices from what's working, what's not just here, but in general. We try to gather a lot of that and share. We're doing that at scale for our shorts creators through workshops, etc. So, this is something that, yes, the platform evolves, people's viewing habits evolve, how they're watching content evolves. And so as a creator, you have to also continue to adapt to that. Of course, you keep telling the stories that you want to tell, but you have to adapt to the way that users' needs are evolving, and I think that's more important than changing how what you're talking about.
Yeah, because it happened to us at one point, and still happens like occasionally. But every time we go back to what can we use, which is already provided from YouTube, like all the tools, the analytics and stuff. All the assistance that you can get, or the community or the fellow creators that you can connect with and like swap informations and like grow from there also not just trying to put the best content out there because you're already doing that and people understand that but maybe you need like extra helps with all those tools that is already existing but maybe you haven't tapped into all those like device that can help you.
Yeah, and it goes the other way too. One of the important things for us is to get feedback from partners and creators on what's working, what's not working, right? Like, and sometimes we take that and incorporate that into our, into our product roadmaps. And this is something that our product leads value a lot because needs of creators could also be different from market to market. And so, incorporating that into our plans is also a critical part of it.
Another thing that I kind of ask all of my guests because even though they're from like different fields or backgrounds, there's one thing that plays a huge role these days. AI. Is AI a must? Like how I think YouTube is already using AI in some form of like helping creators and like doing work already, but how do you think AI would play a bigger role in the future for both of us?
I mean, obviously, AI is top of mind for so many people now, right? It is a powerful transformational technology. We've been using AI on YouTube for a while now. I talked about putting the right piece of content in front of the person at the right time. So our search and discovery technology has been using AI to do that for a long time. We've also been leveraging AI to do a better job with trust and safety, catching videos that should not be on the platform because they violate our policies or community guidelines. So, AI has always been part of how we run the platform. I think what's exciting now is that, it has the capability with generative AI to supercharge creation. And we truly believe that, AI should help enhance creativity, not replace it. And so that's the approach we're taking. How do we build it into our tools, creation tools? So you may have heard of something we launched recently called Dream Screen, which allows a creator to text prompts, create a interesting, unique background for their short form videos. So that's just one example of how we're trying to harness the power of AI to really provide better tools and to help enhance creativity on behalf of our partners.
Yeah, as a YouTuber, I think we have a lot to learn and catch up always because there are a lot of existing tools that you like keep adding to the platform where it can like helps the YouTubers to create better and better and more fun like videos and work. So yeah, just look forward to that. I'm sure YouTube will not stop improving on that part. So as a VP for YouTube APAC, what kind of future do you want to see happening for like Asia Pacific or for Thailand?
First of all, I think that the success and growth that we've seen here over the last 10, 15 years has been phenomenal. And obviously making sure that we continue to build upon that is really, really important. I also see a few, interesting emerging trends coming up. So we talked about the transition of viewership from PC and desktop to mobile, and from horizontal to now vertical and short form video. What's interesting now is that our fastest growing surface is actually the living room, so the big screen. So people consuming YouTube in their living room on big TVs. In fact, now we have over 1 billion hours a day of consumption happening on that surface. And so that's, I think, an interesting new emerging opportunity. And we've got a lot of headroom here in APAC to make the most of it. The other thing that I'm excited about, and for the longest time, people have come to YouTube to learn about products, to make decisions about, what to buy. And our creators have this amazing bond with their fans and their subscribers, and they're authentic, they're trusted. And so I'm very excited about the whole opportunity of bringing commerce and shopping to YouTube. We've done some early experiments in a few markets here in Korea and India, for example. And I think that this is something that I think will grow over time as well.
Okay. So as the standard, like we are a content provider, we are like doing news and we are doing different kinds of content and we plan to go bigger and bigger. And we appreciate all the support from our audience. We appreciate all the support from all the partners. And we think we kind of have the opportunity in the future is like to go regional, like maybe at one point in the future global. So what advice would you have for the standard as a growing news agency and content provider to go out of like Thai society to regional?
Yeah, I think even today you're starting to get audiences from outside of Thailand. I know that people tune into the channel to learn about Thai politics and society and culture. And so continue to build upon that. I think the tools, the quality of dubbing in multiple languages and the cost of it and the speed with which we can do it is going to continue to improve. And so leveraging those technologies is going to be really important to the extent that you're not already doing that. We talked about the success of Mr. Beast. And one of the videos that I recently looked at, it was actually a challenge based upon the Squid Game. You know, and that video has over 600 million views. And a lot of it's because of the whole like multi-language audio capabilities that he's enabled. And so, you know, leveraging that and continuing to do, you know, what you guys are passionate about. Like that's, I think, at the end of the day, the foundation of everything.
I was curious, what do you watch, like personally yourself? What kind of content do you consume?
Yeah, you know, whatever my kids force me to watch. So you know,
Keep up with the games, like.
Well, both of them, you know, are very passionate about right now basketball. So I get to watch. Obviously, the 5-year-old watches lots of kids programming. Personally, you know, I've always been very passionate about tennis. I grew up playing. I coached, and so I watch a lot of tennis and sports-related videos. I also like cooking, specifically barbecuing, and so I always try to learn on how to get better. You know, I think this is the interesting thing. I always say that, you know, if you fall in love with something and you're passionate about something, you always also try to continue to get better at it.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's what I use YouTube for, is to try to continue to improve. I think it's one of the beautiful things about the platform that allows you to do that.
Yeah. So working at YouTube, do you kind of have to like force yourself to watch like diverse kind of contents, like okay, I need to check those out even though it's not in my wheelhouse or it's not my like natural interest, but I gotta check that out because a lot of people are talking about that. So do you do that?
I mean, nobody has to force me to watch. I enjoy watching. In fact, sometimes when you discover new trends and new memes, you know, we have an entire team inside of our marketing organization that actually shares some of those things that are starting to really take life on the platform. That's some of the most interesting things about the platform. You know, of course, you've got the things that, you know, people are interested about, but there's also all of these very niche topics that you can go and deeply engage with, which is the beauty of the platform. And so I actually enjoy finding, every time I find something like that, it validates what I'm doing, right? Because it kind of shows you that it is a platform that really is for everyone.
Yeah, and that's something I like the most about YouTube. It surprises me like quite often. It takes me to an unexpected place. I didn't have any idea that I would like this kind of thing, but YouTube kind of shows me like, hey, check this out. And it surprises me almost all the time. Like, oh, okay, I had no idea I would be into this, but wow, now that I know, I kind of have fun exploring as well.
Yeah, exploring is a big part of it.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming and talk to me about like stuff, and especially like, I think passion is something that we can not live without. And the voice, of course, people want to like put things out there, like telling the world who I am, what I'm into, and share. So I think that's what YouTube does best. And well, last but not least, I ask this to all of my guests, since our show is called Comedy like literally translated to like this is a good word. So of course I want to know if you have any favorite words that you like at all.
I think we've said so many times today is passion, right? I think it's important to be passionate about something in life. And if you find that, you fall in love with it, then excellence is the other thing, which is you continue to strive to get better at it. And so those would be two of my favorite words, you know, because the combination of that is very powerful.
Yeah. And we appreciate your passion because that's what keeps you doing what you love best and do best. And thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Today.
And, you know, and I want to obviously take this opportunity. It's a 10-year anniversary for us. Even though time has gone by and the ecosystem has evolved, it's great to know that even after all of those years, YouTube continues to be the most watched and most loved video platform right here in Thailand. And, you know, I want to thank Thai viewers and creators, artists. The music industry obviously is such a big part of it. All of our partners and advertisers, you know, government organizations who have helped bring YouTube to where it is today. You know, we wouldn't be here without any of them. So a huge thank you from me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.